pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have approval of the minutes.
I have a change in the minutes.
We have a change in the minutes.
I just want to make sure that it is noted for the second case that we heard, that the front yard is designated as parallel with the easement, not parallel with Shaler. And it is the southern lot line.
We'll note that change in the minutes and
And then we can approve it as changed, or as noted.
approve as amended would be the,
Approve as amended. I'll make a motion to approve them as amended.
Have a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Want to call the first case?
First case is case 320A, 4132 Mount Clermont, Tabasco Road, conditional use. The applicant here is Shelley Mays. This application is to restore or basically authorize a new conditional use in a facility where a child care operator terminated the use and then discharged the property. The owners are here tonight. The applicant is not represented that I see. We haven't received any testimony sheets in that regard. Just to be by way of background, the parcel's in Mount Carmel. It's south of Clough Pike. It's near Regent Road. Designated R2 via 1959 original zoning map. It was approved in the 1970s to operate as a conditional use, at which time it terminated under statewide public health orders. Conditional use approvals do not run with the property, but rather the owner occupants, necessitating a new review. They did provide an as-built survey that's about 25 years old here, detailing the existing on-site improvements. The review of the application indicates that they do meet the conditional use standards for child care facilities. There are adequate parking, circulation, really no changes to the site. The action required is to approve, modify, or deny this request by the applicant for the applicant's request to authorize and reoccupy and reestablish daycare in the R2 district based on the evidence, testimony, and findings of fact. It's worth noting that the owners can testify on the record under oath to the BZA regarding the status of this application. But my understanding is the applicant has informed the owners that they will not be pursuing this operation. So I just want to present that on the record to the board, and that concludes my report.
Okay. You say your last name and spell it.
Philpott, P-H-I-L-P-O-T.
Now raise your right hand. You solemnly swear testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
So,
Okay. Floor
well,
is yours.
when we got here today, the woman was going to rent the daycare out, run a daycare, just backed out. So we have to move on and give us time to find another renter. That's it. It'd be used as a daycare.
It'd be used as a daycare.
Yes, we had other people wanting the building, but this lady came first, so I let her have it first. So since she backed out last minute, I'll go on and call the other people that wanted to run a daycare that has been in the daycare business for 20, 30 years. They always wanted to do their own, so we're going to try to give them a chance.
Anybody else want to speak? Discussion of the board.
Well, we could just deny it based on the fact that the applicant is no longer going to pursue it. That would be easy. I don't know if a modification can be made to put in information we have now, not to approve it, but just to I just don't know if we want to have it on record that it was denied at some point, or does it matter?
So in my experience, what I would say is that Because the BZA, you know, we offer sworn testimony and all that, it's a quasi judicial proceeding, it's a little different. So everything that you do is based on the evidence, testimony, and findings of fact.
Yeah.
Absent an amendment or additional evidence, I believe that the board has, in my opinion, the board has to consider the facts of the matter as presented and as contained in the application right now.
Yeah.
I think that if the board were to deny this, because the applicant is not represented, the applicant's not here to give testimony, and as testified by the owners, the applicant is not proceeding with the lease to operate at that location. The denial could reference those specific findings of fact, which may not be, as deleterious to the application as far as the record goes.
Yeah.
It's simply a procedural denial. It's not for any reason
Yeah.
or a detriment of the use. It would be different than
Okay.
this use is gonna be, this, or it's gonna be that, or whatever. Does
Does
that make sense?
I think that's the best.
Does it have to be the word denial? Is there another option?
They
I
only
make a
have,
motion that we allow the property owners to amend the application to substitute themselves for the prior applicant.
And reapply? Or,
well,
That's my motion,
that's your motion?
that we allow the property owner to substitute themselves for the previously named applicant on this application.
To essentially refile an amended application under this case,
or right now?
Right now.
that they can amend the application right now, or that they'll refile for the next available hearing.
Right now.
That they can amend it right now.
Discussion of the board?
If that,
Yeah, because my main concern was just, I didn't want to do anything that moving forward would in any way
Negative
be a
effect.
hindrance to them moving forward. That was my only concern. This is a step quite beyond that, obviously.
is that,
If I may, if the board elects to second and move forward with that motion, I would recommend at least some conditions attached to that if the board were to grant favorable consideration, like timelines for performance, timelines for securing a lease, timelines for that approval to be valid, or else they would have to refile. I think that's reasonable in that regard.
That's the next step.
Right, so I guess,
I'll second your motion.
You want to amend it to what
No,
Corey
'cause
said?
that can be put in. We're not approving that.
No, we're not
just-
approving. My
we just
motion
have
is
a
not to
motion.
approve this application, it's simply to allow the
Correct.
name of the applicant to be changed
Correct,
to the property owner.
and I'll second that motion.
We have a first and a second. Roll call.
well, do you want any discussion?
Any discussion then?
I have a question. If the applicant's not here, and the applicant's the one that paid for this, how are we able to look as the applicant would want that money, transferred, or how it shifts?
She doesn't get the
I'd
money
the
back.
fees
I'd volunteer to pay her back.
The fees are non-refundable.
Yeah.
The fees are processed, the fees paid for the legal fees, the legal advertisements,
Okay.
the put the meeting on. That would be, at least, and again, I'm not an attorney, but I think that's between the two parties to work out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I
our
agree.
option would be to deny this application, and she ain't getting her money back no kind of way.
Right.
Right.
Okay, discussion of the board. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion of the board?
No.
No further discussion. Have a roll call.
So just to clarify, I have a motion to amend the application. So there's a motion to amend the application to the owner, and then we'll have to have a second application or a
That's
second
correct.
motion, a hearing, basically, on that, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so, all right, so there's a motion and a second, roll call, Mr. Hanrahan,
Aye.
Mr. Wolker, Mr. Jank,
Aye.
Mr. Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Cangro,
Aye.
motion carries. All right. So,
So, we need to make another motion.
now we would take, now that we've amended the application to include the owners on this existing application, we now have to take action on the case with the additional applicants before us.
Correct. So.
Yeah, I have one question of the now applicants. What kind of time do you think you would need to secure another operator?
Well, that's a loaded question. Some of them don't want to come back. It's sad because of coronavirus. They're laid off and they're doing good laid off, I should say it that way. The one
Yeah.
lady's having that issue. When was the date they said that unemployment was gonna quit?
I thought, end of July, middle to end of July.
Yeah, one lady says, I can't do anything to the end of July because none of my workers are coming back because of that reason. So September, I mean, I'm new at this. So but I'm gonna, get home, I got like 2 or 3 people, I'm gonna call and say, hey, if you want the daycare, it's
More
open.
months is
Yeah.
pretty-
See how they're going. I'm, like I said, I'm new at it, so all I can do is,
I think
Okay, I'll
14
make a motion
months.
that we approve the applicant's request for conditional use in case 320A, requesting authorization to continue a previously approved daycare center in the R2 Single Family Residential District under sections 633, 622, and 612.4A through C of the Union Township zoning resolution based on the evidence, testimony, and finding in fact, and granting them 4 months to find an operator, or they'd have to reapply.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call, Mr. Hanrahan,
Aye.
Mr. Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Wolker,
Aye.
Mr. Jank,
Aye.
Mr. Cangro.
Aye.
Motion carries. If I may address the board, I would just recommend that the applicants, as they pursue this, what they would do is file a copy of the lease of any lease that they secure with the new operator, and have that operator apply for a change of use occupancy with our office. Obviously, there's nothing structural or anything else that's gonna change on the property, so that's how we would trigger that and document that approval, so.
Do you want a motion to that effect?
No, I think that's,
And then the name of the applicants will be JR's and mine. We have started a company for that property. The deed has not been sent over to that property yet. So I don't know, the applicant would just be mine and his?
it's, the applicant is the people that testified, as I understood Mr. Hanrahan's motion, the board's action, the applicant is Junior and you.
Okay,
Yeah.
And you guys are the controlling interest in the LLC, I presume, that's gonna
Yes.
operate it, so,
yes.
I mean, that's immaterial to us,
As of today's date, you are the owners.
Yes,
right?
So the motion was granting you the opportunity to find an operator within 4 months and continue your use.
right, right. The eventual owner will be changing hands because it'll go into the company. It will be members of the company. But
Your
I,
name's still on it.
okay,
You're
just
still the
making sure.
principals,
Just
you're
making
the
sure.
principals,
Yes.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fine. And then what about?
so I can still go call, the health department's coming in for inspection and all, I can still do all that, right?
Yeah.
proceed.
As far as we're concerned, you can, yeah.
Yeah, because I got 2 more inspections left, food inspection and something else. Of course, I can't do food until somebody gets in there. But I just want to make sure we can go on.
be able to get an occupancy license until we have your blessing, right?
Okay, so procedurally, you have several different regulatory layers at play here. You have Board of Health regulations that you can proceed with independent of our process. You're also going to need occupancy certificates from the township and then from the building department as well. And you'll get those at the time that you define an operator and secure the business that's actually going to operate in that facility.
Bring it down.
So,
Okay.
and you can call us, we'll walk you through it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you can see how hard we are to work with.
Yeah, I know. I really didn't want to tear it down, have a parking lot, or actually grass. I really wanted a pond, though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well, you're good to go if you can find somebody within 4 months. If you can't, then you'll have to apply again.
Okay.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Anything further to come before the board?
I have nothing further for the board.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Adjourned at 7:17. Thank you, yes.